So in my recent trip to Singapore, I went to my retailers and told them I want something cheap and good. So they actually all passed me a few earphones, and this is the one I purchased. This is the Activo Volcano, a triple dynamic driver earphones made by Activo, and it's pretty interesting. Costs about $100, and I really love it. I mean, among all of them that I tried across all the retailers, this is the one that I put my money down for, and it cost me, I believe, like what, $150 or something. Not too sure, I can't remember the numbers, but it was very affordable, and I decided that, with the sound quality it produced, I purchased it on the spot. The question is, what's so good about it? Is it worth it? Now, today I'll create a very short review. I try to make my review a bit more concise. I'll do some comparison, and then we'll discuss about this particular IEM here, the Activo Volcano. Now, the Activo Volcano, if you look at it from the design perspective, it looks, I guess, pretty cheap. Plastic with, I think this front plate is also plastic. It looks cheap. And then, of course, a 2-pin. You can see this is 2-pin here. And then at the tip, you can fit most tips. It does have a lip here. And overall, I would say that, from the earphone perspective, it looks even cheaper than some $100 earphones, I have to be honest. So if you are thinking of good looks, good feel, probably not the earphone, right? But this particular plastic here is actually pretty durable. I think it's one of those polycarbonate types or something. I'm pretty sure it can survive a lot more abuse than acrylic or even metal, because metal gets scratched up. Well, this one probably holds its shape pretty well. The plug they gave is a changeable plug. Very, very common in today's modern China IEMs. You can actually change it. You can see here, it's changeable. So they came with a 4.4. You can see here, this is a 4.4. And inside my case here, there is the 3.5 and the USB-C. So I have this for about close to, I guess, 2 weeks now. And I really love it. Love it enough that I use it for my daily driver, because it's not a technical superior IEM. It's just an IEM that sounds great. And so let's talk about its sound quality, right? The sound quality of this IEM, I'll just describe it very simply as very fun, very engaging, yet sound correct and good enough. That's the important part, good enough. If you do not compare, you really do not know that, there are some flaws to this. But when you first hear it, I'll say as it sounds clear. It sounds a bit more mid-focus, very powerful there. It has a very, very good bass. Some of the best bass I heard for IEM, which means that it's clean, it's clear, it's punchy, and there is good amount of sub-bass. The feeling of listening to bass with this IEM is close to physical. That's how I say, close to physical, right? And then when it comes to the mid, it's very powerful, very forward, and I'll say as if you listen to modern songs, pop songs, very engaging for the mid itself. Now, there are some downsides, I feel. When I first listened it alone, I think that the soundstage is average. When it comes to clarity, it's very good. However, details are kind of sometimes missing at times, really at times, And the treble is okay. It's there, it's present, but nothing shocking there. So this is actually the general sound quality. Now, when it comes to tonality, it's a bit more full-bodied. And overall, I guess, a slight touch of warmth type of sound. So pretty much this is how I would describe the sound quality of this Activo Volcano. It sounds pretty good, really sounds pretty good. And if I was to just compare it to most other IEMs at this price range, I think it beats them in outright initial impression type of feeling, in terms of clarity, in terms of bass, in terms of feel, in terms of the tonality. Very nice IEM. It, I guess, leans towards more of a bassy style. Now, the thing is, if you compare it, how does it sound like? And for comparison, actually I did a video yesterday, but I wasn't pleased. It was too long-winded. So what I did was use the Loto Paul Go here and listen to the song Your Idol and Golden. I mean, these are the very popular song of this season from a series called K-Pop Demon Hunters on Netflix. I really love them too. And their music is just awesome for testing stuff. Modern pop song that is well done, right? Now, regarding music, should you use pop song to test IEMs for music? Well, I say that you're paying money to listen to your music, right? Not some random person's music. So I think classic is nice, but I don't listen to classic. So this is the type of music that I use to try my IEMs, because I think if they cannot give me improvement, listening to them, what's the point? So the 02 versus the Activo Volcano for Your Idol and Golden, I would say as on both tracks, I do prefer the Volcano. I wouldn't say that the Volcano is all around superior over the 02. In fact, the 02 is superior to the Volcano when it comes to detail retrieval and when it comes to also treble. There's just a little bit more treble. But I would say it's better in the sense that there is more. It doesn't mean that the treble is better. In fact, I find that the treble on 02 is a little bit more on the metallic side. So overall tonality on the 02 is a bit more on the cooler side. And when you listen to both Golden and Your Idol, you find that it's a little bit less powerful, less forward. Activo Volcano just feels a bit more powerful and forward in both tracks. And it really aids into both tracks kind of design, as a music design feel, right? And when it comes to details, I think that the 02 pulls out a little bit more detail. You can just hear the organs in Your Idol quite easily on the 02, while on the Volcano, you really have to be very attentive, and then you can hear the little details there. Very, very small details. A little bit of layering that can get missed out if you listen to Volcano. What the Volcano really beats the 02 heavily in the track of Your Idol is the bass. When the bass first enters in the Your Idol track, after the chanting, it is crazy on the Volcano. It just feels rumbly, it feels a lot of impact. It really gives you that feel of a pop song. And then when it comes to Golden, I think Golden just ages out on the Volcano because it's more powerful sounding, smoother on the vocals, and yet, the chorus itself feels more natural. I find the 02, as I said, a bit more metallic, and the vocals just feel a bit more laid back for some reason. It feels more airy, but you can just imagine that overall I do think that the Volcano sounds a lot better, more powerful, more forward, smoother on the vocals. Of course, you get less air, but a bit more natural. So for comparison with the Solo is a little bit different. I'll say Solo is technically a superior IEM. It is just bigger in soundstage, better in clarity, and overall, better positioning, better separation, all the very technical stuff, right? Better details too. And the major difference when you actually listen to them is the bass and the rendition of mids, in addition to whatever technical differences there are. So when you do compare using the Your Idol and Golden song, I personally feel that for Golden, it was kind of like depends on personal preference. Do you want a more full-bodied and smooth vocals that is powerful and forward, or you want a more lighter yet good balance and power on the Solo itself? Solo also feels more airy, feels bigger, but you really lose that push into the chorus if you use the Activo. Activo chorus is so powerful, and the vocals are just smooth, warm, and full-bodied, right? But in Your Idol, I would say it really depends on whether you have watched the movie before and what's your impression of the song, because Your Idol mainly is all the male vocals, which have very little air, and it's all about power forward. So the Activo Volcano does very well for them, and the bass impacts rumbles. Now the Solo also rumbles, it just rumbles a touch lesser, but the Solo just feels a lot more control, a lot more details, and when you listen to Your Idol on the Solo, it just feels like a masterpiece where you try to look into the various little instruments, the organs, the cymbals, and all the synthesized vocals and layering. The Solo does present them very well. But I guess the really true preference in that particular track is when, if you know that it's like a concert style song, especially if you watch a show, then the solo makes it a lot more immersive. It's just really big, and when the initial chant is really, really huge, like, you know, you're chanting in a church kind of feeling. But the Volcano just feels like a very small chant that is right in your face power. And also when it comes to the chorus, I find that the solo is a lot more immersive than the Activo Volcano itself. You know, overall, it's a very good fight because the Volcano does provide you most of the enjoyment, lose some technicality, but at a price that is like, what, I believe like 1/10 the price of a Solo itself, which says a lot. Overall, I do feel like earphones these days are really, really very good. In fact, as I said, I asked a few retailers to show me what they had, and Activo Volcano was one of the 10 earphones that I purchased when I was testing. All of them were sub $200, $300. That's the request to my retailer, and this is the one I outright just buy without much thinking, because after I tried it in my ears, I think the first impression was really, really good. And this also is the biggest reason why I find reviewing earphones at this price point is very challenging. Most manufacturers are trying to maximize their profit, selling as many units as possible because it's $100+. So they will use as good of a material as they can for the price point, which is quite limited, and tune it in a way that meets most people need. I think this Activo Volcano is not like a very fantastically different tuning. It's just a good tuning done proper, especially in the mids and the bass section itself. So, really one of the problems of reviewing IEMs at this price point is how good they all sound and how they all sound the same until you do a little bit of comparison. Compared to if you compare to high-end IEMs, some of them have relatively interesting tuning that really changes how the music is brought to the listener. Now, IEMs are tricky stuff. Even if you have perfect tuning, the person's ears, the tips, how they fit really matters. So, charts are just one thing, but the actual listening experience is quite different most of the time for IEMs. So, most importantly, try yourself. I'll say as modern IEMs are really good. This IEM here easily provides me 90% of the enjoyment. Maybe not 90% of the technicality, maybe 70-80% of the technicality, but it provides me 90% of the enjoyment at a very small price. And it means that overall, I really, really love this IEM. Now, for some shit and giggles, I actually went to go and compare with the Fugaku. The Fugaku literally beats it in every single way, including the bass. It is also very rumbly, very powerful, everything. I think the only thing the Fugaku didn't have was a full-bodied mids in exchange for very smooth controlled mids. It's just slightly less full-bodied than this one compared to other IEMs. No, the Fugaku is awesome, but it costs so much money. This one provides me 90% of the enjoyment, and this is the IEM I use every day because of it. And that's about it for today. This is the review of the Activo Volcano. I hope you enjoy this. And if you want to see more such content, do like and subscribe. I will just talk about stuff. Now, for audio, reviews are a bit simpler because it's just me listening and then telling you how I feel about it. But for camera stuff, I'll come back and review again, show some photos, and then hopefully I get some interesting stuff to try out. That's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.